I don't feel up to doing anything today. I sat down to prep a video and, yep, drifted off into daydreams again. Do you ever get stuck on thoughts like this? What exactly makes a robot better than a human? Is it raw strength, greater durability, or the ability to recall every detail on command? I don't think it's any of those. Here's my take. What sets a robot apart and makes it powerful is simple. It executes what it's told. No pushback. Every time, without tiring. You issue a command, it acts. You get a result. A straight command chain. Humans aren't built like that. Take me today as an example. I just don't want to work. I can't get myself going. I know the tasks are there and they need finishing. The instruction is crystal clear. Get X and Y done by tonight. Yet something inside me resists. Logically, that makes no sense, right? Wouldn't it be great if that resistance never showed up and we could do anything easily? There is an explanation. If we want to crack self-motivation, we need to understand it. So in this video, I'll cover how motivation actually works and how you can spark your own. Because it's personal, everyone's answer will look a little different. So I won't say do this, do that. You'll take the ideas, then craft your own playbook. Unlike the robot's command action result line, our process is more like a loop. A loop of action arrow, reward arrow, motivation. You take an action and earn a reward. Say you study for an exam. You put in hours even when you don't feel like it. You get stuck, you keep going. Eventually you land the high score you wanted. That win is a reward, and it fuels motivation so you can take the action again. Except, it's not that tidy. We can't just press a button and go. There are blockers in that loop. They can snap the connection. A big one, waiting for motivation before you start. I'm not in the mood. I'll watch a show first, then I'll feel better and work. But action has to come first. Because the reward that comes from action is what creates motivation. Some psychologists define motivation as the desire to start and sustain a behavior. So if that desire isn't there at the start, how do we begin and keep going? For some, music helps. They catch the rhythm and work flows. For others, it's a distraction, which is why solutions are personal. Still, there are patterns we share. In 1998, researchers ran a study with grade schoolers. They gave kids very hard puzzles. Stuff that wasn't fun to tackle. Then they gave everyone great marks, but they explained the high marks differently. One group heard, "You're very smart and talented." The other heard, "You're very hardworking." Here's where it gets interesting. They asked the kids to do more puzzles, mixing easy and hard ones, and let them choose. Which group went for the tough ones? Which picked the easy ones? Think about it. If motivation trips you up and your guess is off, this might be the key. Kids praised for being smart and talented gravitated to simpler problems. When asked if they enjoyed it, the vibe was meh. They chose easy tasks and didn't love them. Kids praised for being hardworking, chose harder problems and felt happier. So what's the lesson? Should we just chant, "I'm hardworking, I'm amazing"? What I really want to highlight is locus of control. In plain terms, how much control you believe you have over what happens in your life. Praise for being smart and talented nudges an external locus of control. Those traits feel inherited, outside your control. So working hard doesn't seem like the main driver of success. If the world or your talent decides the outcome, why try? Praise for being hardworking leans internal locus of control. Effort is yours. You control it. Success comes from what you do. That's why the loop matters. To link reward and motivation, it's not enough to enjoy the reward. You have to see the reward as the product of the grind that led there. When you connect the win to your effort, you've got fuel to work again and earn that win again. Start the loop anywhere, and don't let it break. Another example. Picture a door-to-door salesperson. Who's best suited for this job? Imagine your first day. You're fired up, you knock, and door after door shuts. No one buys. Some don't even listen. At day's end, your boss asks, "Why didn't you sell?" With an external locus of control, answers sound like, "The weather was bad. People were grumpy. No one had money." All external reasons. That shrinks motivation, and tomorrow you start with even less. Why strain when the universe is against you? And then you fail for the very reasons you believe. Yes, life has uncontrollable factors that impact outcomes. But how we read events also shapes what happens next. Even living through the same day, we interpret it differently. That means we can choose how we frame it. One of the best things you can do for motivation is to keep your eyes open for what you can own. My biggest tip, even if the cause seems external, practice persuading yourself there's something you can influence, without beating yourself up. Treat it like self-motivation training. Now, a quick recommendation that might nudge you into action. Okay, so we took action, worked hard, struggled, and finally got the reward. Then what? Remember my question at the start? Why are we like this? Wouldn't life be easier if we could grind non-stop like robots? I'll do it, no excuses. Do I really need to hold my mind at gunpoint to film this? There's a reason for our limits. Energy conservation. For our ancestors, that was survival critical. If you burned energy non-stop and got sick, that could be it. We can't just shed that wiring overnight. And a big player here is dopamine. Dopamine is the brain's reward signal. So it's worth understanding when it spikes and dips. There's a lot of confusion though. Take Parkinson's disease. Patients are prescribed dopamine-related medications. A surprising pattern showed up later. Some developed gambling addictions. People who'd never gambled before suddenly got hooked. Why? Because slot machines and similar games are precision engineered to hijack dopamine. Quick hits, small wins, endless almost moments. Action. Insert coin, pull lever, you win $50. Reward brings motivation, which brings more action, and the wheel keeps spinning. That's why understanding dopamine's role matters. But there isn't a universal formula for motivation, because people differ, so it helps to grasp the mechanics and tailor them to you. For instance, how often should you reward yourself while working? If motivation is tricky for you, you've probably tried work for X minutes, then a treat. How effective is that? If you constantly fixate on the end reward, things can backfire. Like locus of control, motivation splits two ways: intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic is doing something because the doing itself is satisfying. Playing a game just because it's fun. The action is its own fuel. Extrinsic is doing something for a payoff later. Training at 5 a.m. for years to win an Olympic medal. So why not have both? Wouldn't that be ideal? Actually, piling them together can backfire. That's the overjustification effect. Say you love painting. Pure intrinsic motivation. You draw for joy, gift pieces to friends and family. Then someone says, "You're great, why not sell them?" Sounds perfect. Do what you love, earn money, sales climb. Then one day you realize you're painting just to keep up with orders. The joy fades. Add extrinsic reward, money, to a strongly intrinsic activity, and internal motivation can plummet. So the art is balancing both, using the right type at the right time. In short, we always say, do what makes you happy. And that's exactly the point. Yes, have goals and use them wisely. But don't reduce everything to targets and payouts. Try to find real satisfaction in the doing. If it isn't fun yet, make the process more enjoyable. No one loves laundry or dishes, but a single kind word from someone at home suddenly makes them more bearable, right? One kind word is easy to offer. Our loop will never be as simple as a robot's. But maybe that's the beauty of being human. If sweet words didn't move us, who would write the poems and songs? And who knows, maybe one day robots will craft values of their own too. Why not? Stay focused, stay grounded, keep your mindset vibes strong.